Hi everyone. All right, I'm going to go over today's lessons. Today is Tuesday, the 8th. Today we started off with our morning meeting. We did our Go Noodle video and we finished the rest of the reading of A Nutty Nutcracker Christmas. We did the second half of that and finished that. And then for today in math, we were working on get my notebook out. We were working on some multiplication problems. And here we went to page 259. So here the problem, focus this. There it goes. All right, so the problem said, let me move this over so we can all see. All right, so the problem said the Alley Spring in Missouri produces an average of 567 million gallons of water per week. How many gallons of water do the springs produce in 3 weeks? So we read it once to just read it. Then we're going to go back through and we're going to read to make sure that we understand. So we've got a spring and it's producing gallons and gallons and gallons of water each week. Well, the first week, just 1 week, it did, because it says per week. So for 1 week, it did 567 million. And we want to know how much in 3 weeks. So if 1 week was 567, then the second week would be 567, and the third week would be 567. And so in order to find out how much they did in 3 weeks, we said we're going to go ahead and multiply those. So we did our estimate. We said 567 rounds to the nearest 100. That would be 600. Then we took 3 times 600 and equals 1,800. 3 times 6 is 18. We see 2 zeros. We put our 2 zeros. And then we went ahead and solved this in our notebook. And so here we set up our problem, 567 times 3. We took our 3, we did that distributed property, the 3 times 7, which is 21. We wrote our 21. Then we did the 3 times the 6, but we know it's not a 6 because it's in the tens place. So it's actually 60. So 3 times 60 is 180 because 3 times 6 is 18. We place that 0 there at the end. Then 5 times the 3 right here, 3 times 5, we know it's not a 5, it's a 500 because it's in the hundreds place. That equals 1,500. We add up those partial products. 1 and 1 is 1, and 0 and 0 is 1. 8 and 2, we regroup that 1, place the 0 down. 5, 6, and 7, and bring your 1 down. So 1,701, which is pretty close to our 1,800 here. So our estimate was pretty close, so we know our answer is reasonable. And then we could have stopped there, and then there's our answer. But we went ahead and showed it another way. So here, again, 567 times 3, this is just another way to solve it. You go ahead and put it out in its place value. And so according to its place value, the 5 is 500, the 6 has a value of 60, the 7 has a value of 7, and we're going to take the 3 and we're going to multiply it by each of these numbers. So 3 times 7, which is the same thing we did up top, 3 times 60, 3 times 500. And when we do that, this is what it looks like. So this is the distributed property written all the way out like that. And so we've got 500 times 3, 60 times 3, 7 times 3. We multiply that out. Here's our partial products. Add them up, and we get our same answer there. So either way is fine, but we have to make sure. Same thing, we could do it. I think most of the kids are liking with the box. So same thing, you're going to take your 567, you're going to put it into your expanded form, draw your box, put your number you're multiplying on the outside, draw your lines down where you've got those plus signs, and then you're still doing the same thing. 500 times 3, which is our 1500. Here, 60 times 3, which is still the 180. Here, 7 times 3, 21. And then we're still going to add these up. So add those up, and then you still get the 1,701. So whichever way you do it is fine. Just make sure that we're all getting the same answer down at the end here. All right, so put that away. All right, so we worked on that. And then students had these problems to work on. And we did 2 of these together. So the first one we did together is number 7. So here, this is, again, it's taking, Earth takes 365 days to orbit the sun. So it's asking if it does it 3 times, how much would that be? So here we represented it with the that box method. So we took our larger factor, 365, we put it in expanded form, multiplied that out, got our partial products, added up our partial products, and we got our answer. Then on number 9, it says how many thousands are in the estimated product of 4 times 6,817. So here you've got, we see that we're doing the estimated product. So when we're estimating, we're going to see 6,817 is about how much? We said that it's about 7,000. So instead of doing this, we're actually doing this here. So then we went ahead, it wants the product, which is the answer to the multiplication problem. So we went ahead and multiplied these 4 times 7. We get 28. And then we've got 3 zeros, so we need 3 zeros here. And then it says, go back to the question, it says how many thousands? Well, in here, there are 28. This is the thousands family. There are 28 of them. So we got D for our answer there. So students had 11, 12, 10, and 8 to finish. So 4 problems there that they needed to do, and they are putting those in their Google Classroom. So they go to classwork, and there it goes. This Math Monday through Friday, they're going to open this up, and they're going to go all the way down. And I went ahead and put the answers that we did together, and then they need 8, 10, 11, and 12, so they fill in the rest there. So they did that for math, and there's the page numbers and everything. And then for reading, all right, for reading, we went down here, and we looked at this 4th Street Cafe, and today we did at the cafe, we've got a menu. So we are going to choose an appetizer to do before we read. We're going to do a main dish during our reading, and then we're going to be bad and we're going to have 2 reading desserts. So here, our appetizers, we went ahead and chose pickles. And so the students, they drew a circle map, and they jotted down everything that they know about informational text. So we talked about how it's nonfiction, we're reading it and we're getting information. So we just thought about all the things that we should be looking out for, and thinking about, what it is that we're going to be taught. And then we went ahead and read this story, Tracking My Trash. And so it's page 2, page 3, and page 4 here. So we read this. And this is just all the first page on, or the second page on 3 is all about just actual trash that goes in the landfill, how it has to be carried. He's in New York, so talking about how they move it from they move it from one spot to another. And then the second part of here was all about the recyclables. And so we read that, and then tomorrow we'll move on to the main dish. So just having those thoughts before, what am I reading? What kind of text is this? And then you already have in your head, like if you read fiction, you should be thinking, okay, I'm going to be looking for these specific things. Fiction has characters, fiction has a problem, fiction has a solution, fiction has, all of these different elements. Same thing with informational. So just having those thoughts beforehand can kind of, help you set up yourself for success with your comprehension. So we did that, and then students have the week 16 read aloud to be working on. There's a page, or they need to record on each page and answer some questions, discussion questions. Then today they worked on the Christmas around the world. Today they read about Australia and New Zealand. So they learned about how on the other side over there, if we're having winter, they're having their summer. So Santa's in shorts. He is doing some barbecues. They're out swimming. They're out doing all kinds of things that we do out in the summer times. They're doing theirs very different. So some things were still the same, the lights, the trees, and stuff like that. It's just the weather is the big one. So things how we get all bundled up and everything because we're freezing, that's not them. Okay, so they answered those questions there. And then for writing, we went here. All right, so for Tuesday, we kept looking at these interjections, and on this one, these are with yeses and nos. So with these, you use a comma after the word yes or no at the beginning of a sentence. So there's 3 examples. No, comma, I don't know what's wrong with your car. Yes, comma, your car's engine is making strange noises again. Yes, comma, I can take a look at it for you. So after those yeses and those nos, you put that comma there to pause before you move on to the rest of that statement. So over here, you're just rewriting each sentence. You need to make sure you check for the capital letters at the beginning. Each one needs a correct punctuation mark at the end. And then you need to add those commas after the word yes or no at the beginning of each sentence. So we filled out those 4. And then going back to the beginning, we went over, so yesterday we brainstormed some ideas. Today we did just the first part here with the introduction. So with the introduction, students had several different prompts to choose from. So whatever they chose, they went ahead and did their introduction for it today. And then tomorrow we'll start working on the body. And then that was that for that. And then for science today, let me open this back up. For science, yesterday we talked about evaporation. Today we went to the next part and started talking about condensation. And so this first part here on condensation is what we did today. So condensation changes, and you can pause the video to make sure you have these notes. Condensation changes water vapor to liquid water. So you've got starting back, I'm going to go back a little bit. So water in the ocean, the sun's heat is heating up the water. It changes the liquid to a gas, and that gas is the water vapor. And then condensation changes that water vapor back to a liquid. So as that air is rising and rising and getting higher and higher, it starts cooling and it starts condensing into these water droplets. It starts coming together and forming these water droplets. And those are what form our clouds. So condensation, cloud starts with the C, condensation starts with the C. So I always think of these, make that connection with those starting first letters. So those were the notes we took. And then we went to our Scratch project that we've been making. And I'm going to go up to my folder. And I'm going to go to my project. All right, so this one here. All right, so let me move me up here. So here's what I have so far. So I started making a new one. So I've got the water down here on the bottom. I've got my clouds. I've got my sun. I've got my arrows. So I started doing the coding, or I'm going to start doing the coding now for evaporation and the condensation. So with my arrows, when the E is pressed, I'm going to have my arrows glide. And so we use this glide here. And I want my arrows, I'm going to click and I'm going to put to where I want them to stop. So I want them to stop right there. So that's 47 is the x-axis, and the y is negative 69 here. So I'm going to have them do that. And then I'm going to have them wait. And they're going to wait. I'm going to have them wait 2 seconds. And then I'm going to have them, I'm going to go back to motion. And I'm going to have them glide back where I want them to start, which is right here. And that x-axis right here is 47 and negative 169. Okay, so when the E is pressed, they rise, they wait 2 seconds, and then they glide back down. Okay, so with in order to do that, I had to have my arrow sprite made, and I click the arrows, and whatever coding goes in here is specific for that sprite. Now for my clouds, I want my clouds to, I'm going to have my clouds, I'm going to show my clouds, and then I'm going to hide my clouds, and I'm going to need the weight, and I'm going to need, let me see how this one works. So if, I'm going to get this, if I'm doing condensation, so I'm going to put if the C is pressed, then show, and then I'm going to wait to, maybe I want to hide first. I'm going to hide, and then I'm going to wait, show, and I want this to do this forever. So let me go put this in here, wait, I'll wait. Let me see what this looks like. All right, so C. All right, I need to work on my cloud code, minding my helpers. All right, let's see. Oh, no, it didn't save it. So if the C is pressed, maybe I need a, there we go. All right, so for my clouds, when the C is pressed, it will hide them and then it will show them. And in order to add the text boxes, so I need to go back for my evaporation ones. We're going to add, go to My Blocks. And if it's not there, you can go to this, let me move this, go to this blue box here and click the text to speech. And then you can bring these over and you can type in here and you can type it, type whatever you want. So I'm going to put for, this is under evaporation, so I'm going to put the sun heats the water and turns the liquid into water vapor. I'm going to put into gas called water vapor. All right, and then you can change how you want the voice, whether you want a girl, a boy, a mouse, and so on, the language. And so let's try this. So E.
The sun heats the water and turns the liquid into gas called water vapor.
Okay, so that works. And then, and again, guys, I'm no professional at this. It's just trying to, like y'all saw me at my one that didn't just work out. You try something, and if it works, great. Try to make it even better. If it doesn't work, kind of go back and try something else. So this is, you know, some of us are, some of the kids in class are pros big time. They're way more talented at me than this because they do it a lot. It's just the more things that you try out, you learn different tricks and how things fit together and work together and so on. And so it's really just, you know, trial and error and just kind of, you know, seeing how things fit together and work and just thinking about kind of order of events that you want things and how you want things to move and just getting familiar with the blocks, looking through here and looking at all the different options and things like that. So just lots of trial and error. All right, so for condensation, I'm going to add my speech ones, and this time I'm going to say for condensation, I'm going to say condensation is the process of turning water vapor back to a liquid. All right, so let's see. Whenever I push the C, there's my hiding clouds.
Condensation is the process of turning water vapor back to a liquid.
All right, and then again, I can change.
Condensation is the process of turning water vapor back to a liquid.
All right, so there's for my clouds. All right, so tomorrow we're going to do precipitation. So we'll work on the precipitation here. And then there's so many different things. Like this is, I just did mine really, really basic because that's like kind of the level I'm at. And so if you're more advanced, you know, you have control of however you want to set it up, whatever you want it to do. But we all should, I wanted it to be a teaching piece. So I want that part in there where you're talking about what those different processes mean. So make sure your notebook with your notes is right next to you and that you're using that and referring back to it. And thank you to those that have been helping out in class, helping me, help others, and we can really learn a lot from each other as we're doing all this. So really cool. All right, so we're gonna get out of that, and then and I just titled it water cycle up here. All right, so we're going to get out of that. And then for social studies, we started talking about the Battle of the Alamo. So click on your assignment, and we completed Tuesday's page on that. It was a couple slides that had 3 questions on it. And then for small group and reading today, we talked about some comparing text. And then in small group and math today, we worked on our daily review. Let's see, where is it? all the way down here, the math small group daily and small group and intervention page, and reviewed some decimals and things like that. And then make sure your science test is on here, poetry read, the poetry for the reading and the informational for reading. Make sure that those have been corrected and that you made your corrections so I can get those grades updated. And I think that is it. All right, guys. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.